All right. Welcome, everyone, to Ignite Your Speaking Success in 2019. This was a series of 3, and this is number 3 of 3, how to fire up your speaking calendar. Now, if you happen to have missed the last 2, don't worry. They are on YouTube, and also you would have received a link. But if you didn't click on the link and download it, don't worry. I got the first 2 up on YouTube. All you have to do is go to my channel, Arvee Robinson, and you will find them there. Just inquire about Fire Up, or the other ones, Light Up or Turn On, and you will find them. Okay. Excellent. So again, welcome everyone. Now, most of all of you have heard my story, and you know that I came out of corporate America and started speaking there in corporate America, failed miserably, and because I thought I could just do it without any training, and I learned I couldn't. And so I got trained, and then I started training others in corporate America how to use public speaking. And then 16 years ago, I left corporate America, started my own public speaking training company, where I have trained over 5,000 individuals, entrepreneurs. I've trained brigadier generals and bishops and pastors and entrepreneurs and coaches and consultants and authors and on and on and on. And many of you or my students are on this call right now, or on this Zoom call right now. And I've given over 3,500 speeches all over the world in some really exotic locations. I've hosted over 700 live events. And of course, I have over years of training, of speaking, and just celebrated my 16th year in business. Now, I don't say that to impress you. Well, maybe a little, did it? I hope so. But to impress upon you that anybody can learn how to speak, and anybody can have as much success as I have had, or even more. It all depends on how well you're trained and how much you want to put into it and how much you want to dedicate to it. But it works for everyone. All right? So tonight, what you're going to discover is how to get all the speaking gigs that you can handle. Because without getting the speaking engagements, no matter how much you are trained, you can get rusty. It's very similar to working out. Now, I know my dear friend Paul, who's on this call, or on this Zoom call, is a runner, and he runs 3 to 5 miles a day. And if he didn't run, Paul, how long would it take you to get rusty if you didn't run every single day? Just put it on a chat box for everyone. Let me pull up the chat box and make sure that I can see it here. All right, let me make sure I can see it. There we go. All right, greetings from 6 months. 6 months, you'd lose all your fitness. Dave says 5 days. Awesome. Okay, good. Everybody can hear me? Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we would lose it. Usually in fitness, we would lose our fitness in 2 weeks. And I think in speaking, I think you have about a month. If you don't practice and go out there and speak, you can lose your speaking fitness, which could mean losing confidence, could mean losing, the speech, being that script, being able to do it. It means maybe adding ums and all the kind of filler words because you're not ready. It's not tight. So continue to get out there and speak. All right. So Ivan, I see you raising your hand. Honey, can you just put in the chat box what it is you need? All right, good. Oh, you meant 6 days. I was wondering, 6 months of not running, I'd be pretty rusty, but very good. Okay, so you need to get speaking engagements. You need your speaking to be running on autopilot. So another thing you're going to discover is where your target market hangs out. That's important. And how to turn one speaking engagement into many, so you don't have to work so hard. And how to speak on other people's stages, and the power behind speaking for free. And of course, a 3-step proven formula that actually gets results, which means more speaking engagements. So how cool is that? Say, that's cool. Awesome. Okay, something happened to my chat box again, so I'm going to try to get it back up here. There we go. I want to leave it there so I can see. Oh, I know. I'm clicking on it, and it's disappearing. So hold on, bear with me. All right, I got to click. Okay, hold on. I'll get there, but I have to move things around. One thing about technology, it's always a pleasure, isn't it? Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, I can make myself bigger. Oh, I'm just going to make myself smaller then. All right. So my goal for tonight is to just give you some great information. I'm not going to sell you anything. There's nothing to buy here today. So put away your credit cards. Well, unless you want to buy something from me, that's always good. Give me a call later. All right. But it's just to really encourage you how important your message is to share with the world. Because if you've hung out with me at all, you know that I believe that you have a message to share that only you can share to people that can only hear it from you. And that message will save somebody's life, their business, or even their soul. That's how important it is for you to get it out there. And if you can't get it out there because you're procrastinating, or you're letting fear hold you back, or you don't want to spend the money and invest in yourself for whatever reason, then just know that those people that are waiting for you and your words will go on suffering. Yes, for all eternity, because that job is yours, and I can't take it and deliver it for you, no matter how much money you paid me. Nobody could. None of you on the call could. So I'm just here because I believe in you. I believe in your message, and it's time to get it out there. And some of you have gotten it out there, and maybe life happened, and you're a little rusty. You're kind of like that fitness where you didn't go to the gym for a couple of weeks, and now it's really hard to get back in there and get to the gym. Well, I just want to encourage you tonight to get back in the gym, get back out there and start speaking. I'm going to give you some easy ways to get those engagements. Okay, excellent. That's cool. I love it. All right, so that's my goal tonight. All right, so let's get ready, get set, and let's go. Now, I want to begin with the end in mind. And that is with speaking. I have made over $100,000 in one weekend by speaking. And I didn't have to use smoke and mirrors. I didn't have to be salesy. I didn't have to hypnotize my audience. I didn't have to do any of those things that we have seen some of the top speakers do. And I know none of you want to do those things either. So now I'm not saying you're going to make $100,000 in a weekend after this webinar, but I have taught many of my clients how to do it, and I can teach you. But let me tell you what I did do, how I did it. I did it by speaking consistently. By speaking what? Consistently. In other words, you get that great body because you work out consistently. You don't get it because you went to the gym one time a week or even once a month. And you won't with speaking either. You've got to do it consistently. Now, the last series we talked about how to get a constant flow of leads and clients and cash. And what did we do? We did a mathematical formula where I showed you exactly the benefits of speaking at least once a week to a small group of only 25 people. So if you want to see that and try that formula out for yourself, just again, go to YouTube. The other two series are up there. All right. So not only did I did it consistently, but I did it in front of the right target market, my target market. And not only a targeted market, but a niche down target market. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And then the third thing I did is I invited them in my room. That's where the power is. That's where you can really transform people. When you speak in front of people, you're going to make them aware of what it is you do and how you can help them. But it isn't until you actually get them into your room where you can really create breakthroughs and even transformation that leads to permanent change. And that's what we all want in our life, permanent change. We want to change that mindset that says we love to work out, right? We want to change the mindset that says we are a great speaker and we want to speak on a continuous basis. All right, so I did it by getting them ultimately into my room. This is one of my rooms. This was actually, it was a Christian women's conference. And there's 83 people there, 80 women and 3 men, just bam. All right. So, and I did it by free local talk strategy that I'm going to share with you tonight. Many of you know what that strategy of it is. Some of you knew and maybe forgot. So I'm going to share with you when it, what it is. It doesn't mean necessarily, though, to speak to anybody and everybody, right? It doesn't mean just to speak to anybody else that will listen. I share that with people because I believe that it's important to do that when you're first learning. It's kind of like when you are first learning how to drive and you'll volunteer to go anywhere. I'll go to the store, Mom, I'll go here, I'll go there. And you're going, it doesn't really matter. It's not until you really know how to drive that you maybe pick your own places to go. And I like to use driving as a great analogy for speaking. And I shared this on my call earlier today, and that is pretend that speaking is a vehicle and you get to choose the vehicle. All right, so you can choose a Maserati, or you can choose a little putt-putt, or a truck, or a Pinto. I don't care what you choose. But just know whatever car you choose is as fast as you go. So if you have a Maserati, that means you're going to speak 2 or 3 times a week. You are going to go fast to your destination. And whatever that destination is, whether it's a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business, whether it's getting on big stages, whether it's putting on a huge event, whatever that destination is, speaking is the vehicle to get you there. And I teach people how to use speaking to build their business. That's it, how to be that car and how to go down the road as fast or as slow as they want. Now, you have to be careful picking up passengers because passengers can slow you down on your journey to your destination. What do I mean by that? Have you ever picked up a passenger, and I don't mean a hitchhiker, but I mean had somebody that you know and you're going somewhere, you're going to a concert together or something, and they say, oh, would you pull over here? I want to get something to eat. Would you pull over here? I want to get something to drink, or I've got to go to the restroom or whatever, and all of a sudden you're stopping. Or they might tell you, oh, go over here, it's quicker, and then you get lost. And so a lot can happen when you pick up passengers on your journey. So be careful. And what do I mean by passengers? I don't mean obviously physical passengers, but I mean oftentimes picking up too many training programs, right? And going over here, oh, I got to have social media, boom, and then you take that class when you don't need any of that stuff. What if I told you all you need to grow your business is public speaking? Yes, that's all you need. Phew. Forget that social media stuff, right? Now, I love it. We've all got to be a part of it. I'm talking about focusing on it, right? Now, some of you on this call came from social media. Great, congratulations. It works. But the majority of you came from my list and my relationships. You already were in my car. You've been in and out of my car, and you're joining me again. So be careful taking on too many programs that aren't related, that aren't going the same direction you're going, and all of a sudden you're off track and you've got to come back. See, there's no shortcuts. If you think about it, if you go off track, you've got to whoop and come right back this way to go forward. So, right, you got to get on that road. So I like to use it as an analogy. So what fuels, though, where I'm going with this is what fuels is the car, the speaking car, is the speeches. What fuels it, the gasoline, is the speeches. So you have to do the speeches. So the best way to do it is free local talk strategy, where you speak for free to a group, not just any group, but I'm going to share that with you in a minute, but you speak for free and speak often. All right, so this is one of my clients that you can't see it. His name's Toby. He wrote me an email. I just thought I'd like to share with you another success story. Over the last 2 months, I gave 3 speeches using your system. I do teach a speaker system, and out of them, I earned over $10,000. Now, couldn't you afford a little speaker training if you got $10,000 and 3 speeches? And this is very common amongst my clients. Before I joined your program, I knew that I could speak without about web design. He's a web designer. I just didn't know how to get it all together. And now it's a great money-making funnel for my business. Thank you. Cheers. And like I said, his last name's Martini. Isn't that a cool name? He's in Florida. So here's the first step to do that, right? And to get those speaking engagements is pick the right target market. Who is your right target market? Now, we've all heard target market, target market. Every marketing, branding person will tell you that. It's not new. But I want you to think about your target market, because most people do not drill deep enough. They'll just say, oh, business owners, right? Well, what kind of business owners, right? They might say women. Okay, I want to target women. Well, what kind of women, right? I mean, I'm a baby boomer, so I'm not targeting millennials. The chance that millennials will come for my training is pretty, I don't know, how would you say? It's not, the chance is very unlikely. Now, have I taught millennials? Absolutely. The youngest I've taught was 8 years old, and the oldest I've taught was 82 years old, and everything in between. I've had some young people, but the majority, the peak of the people that I teach are between 35 and 75, right? That's the peak. So what is your peak? What is your peak and who? And also think about other demographics, right? If they're women, what kind of women? Are they successful women? Are they leaders? If they're men, are they businessmen? Are they entrepreneurs? What do they look like? What kind of cars do they drive? I mean, what is your ideal person? Think about a client of yours that you love to work with. They never, hassle you about paying you. They always are coachable. They do their homework, their field work, whatever you have them do. They're always on time, right? If they can't make it, they call you, all that stuff. That's your ideal target market. So think of one in mind and write that down right now. And, you could go as far with this as you want, which is, how much money do they make, and so on. So I'm just going to give you a small example. Think of like somebody that wants women as their target market. And like I said earlier, well, what kind of women, how old women, are they educated women, that kind of thing. And one of my clients, her target market is women leaders, right? Women that are in leadership. Well, we can think about that. What kind of leadership, what kind of women? We could break it down. We could go further and further. The more you niche something, the more you know where to go to find them. And that's step number 2. Okay, so who do you serve? Step number 2 is, where do they hang out? Who do you serve? Where do they hang out? Because we need to know where to go to get those speaking engagements. And it's really important to research and make a list. Write it down. Don't just kind of be arbitrary about it. Oh, women leaders. Oh, I can go here and go there. No, you write it out. You do your research on the computer or anywhere else that you want to do your research. And you, I'm going to put my chat box up and now and see if anybody is chit-chatting with me. Okay, because I'm going to ask a couple questions in just a minute. Excellent. All right. You like the Santa hat? Awesome. Okay. So, a Lamborghini, 2-seater, very exclusive. Yes, a Maserati. I like that. I have a client that has a Maserati, and she came over, and we did, one of my coaching programs, 3-month coaching program. And one day we were going to go to lunch, and she's like, oh, well, you just take your car and I'll meet you there, right? And I looked at her, I said, no way, I miss out on an opportunity to ride in a Maserati. Are you kidding me? I don't care. You got to take me home, And I got to ride in a Maserati. Wasn't long ago. So we didn't get to turn it on and, go fast or anything, unfortunately. But, and there's also, I see a Lamborghini every Sunday at my church. There's a Lamborghini parked right outside the church. And I'm thinking, who is this that drives this Lamborghini, And why would he drive it to church, But whatever. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, okay. So research and make a list. Now, most of us aren't researchers. I'm not a real researcher, but you have to put your research hat on this time. And some people are researchers and they research way too much, way too much. So I want you to be somewhere in between where you just like take an hour and research. So let's say you were that person that wanted to target women in leadership. And it would be a good idea if you were a woman too, if you were going to pick that target market. You got to be it. So if you are going to target millennials, probably best if you are one, right? If you're going to target baby boomers, probably best if you are one, all right? So you want to target who you are, and yes, you can stretch a little bit on each side of it, but again, there are exceptions to the rule, I know, but for the most part, all right, in general, we want to kind of stick to our own. Okay, all righty. Okay, so research and make a list. Where do they hang out? So if it's that women leaders, you could find them in corporate America. Right? Corporate America would be a great place to start looking. You're not going to look at the Lions Club or necessarily the Rotary. Now, the reason why we want to niche it down, I got something on my glasses that I can't see. The reason why we're niching it down is so you can get the maximum results. Now, if you were with me last week when we did the formula and we did the math, and again, don't worry if you weren't here, you didn't miss a thing. Each one of these stand on their own. But if you want to see last week, just go to my YouTube channel and it will be there. So last week we did a formula that talked about if you were speaking once a week to a small group of 25 people, you could get at least 5 leads out of that. One group of small people, provided that you are speaking to your target market. Now, if the women and leaders, women that were had women leaders as her target market, if she spoke to a chamber, well, she's only going to get half of the results, maybe 1/4 of the results, because there's men and women, and because not everybody's in corporate America. So she might get 1 instead of 5. So now do you see the power that if you find out who your target market is and talk directly to them, boom, right? Bam is what I usually say. Okay, you're going to get better results. So let's just have some fun. So write in the chat box who your target market, best you can. I mean, I know you haven't done the research, but if you already know who it is, niche down, right in there. And I know Dave Christendor knows exactly who it is. Renee Gordon knows exactly who it is. Renee Gordon is a love coach, and she helps couples to fall in love, be in love, you know, all kinds of great things. Oh, my voice is freezing occasionally, Anita says. I'm sorry about that. Is that for everybody? Maybe it's just your system. So if my voice freezes, let me know. All right? It's okay now. Well, if it freezes, right? Let me know. Anyway, if there's any problem or you can't hear me because I have a little snowball that I'm using, always please let me know. All right, good. Thank you. All right. So Jack is people becoming the age of 65. Yes. Now, Jack, do you deal with reverse mortgages or retirement, or, I mean, you know, I know you deal with, you know, financial things. Remind me, Jack, just in case, I don't know if you've changed Medicare. Okay, perfect. Okay, so at Medicare, perfect. So you can't wait till you're 65 to go and see Jack. Right? You got to see him at least 4 months ahead of time before you're 65 or 4 months after. Right? Right, Jack? Okay. So go ahead and write down your target market, the people you want to work with. Good, Jack. Yeah. I only know because it's getting close for me. Oh, oops. I divulged too much. So go ahead and write your target market. Dave, I expect your target market in there. Go ahead and type it in. Target market. Okay, I can't see your target markets. Go ahead and write them in. Okay, great. Okay, so Anita's switching to women. Okay, the bigger niche, all right, between 30 and 60. but more specific, it would be women in leadership positions. Right. And you might say leadership positions in corporate America, or are there leader positions in politics? Is it leader positions in, Kiwanis, I mean, international groups? So you can be more specific. That way you'll know exactly where to go and get those speaking engagements. So Dave is real estate investors and people who want to be real estate investors. So people who have some money that they can invest in real estate. Perfect. All right. All right. Keep them coming, or have time. All right. So very good. Good job. Good job. Keep them coming. I can see them. Okay. I don't know why, for some reason this time every time I click out, I'm losing my chat box. I don't know why that's happening. Oops. All right. So let's talk about places to speak for a minute. Now, many of you heard of these, you know these, so we're just going to go really quickly. But no, networking groups, you've got to be specific. What kind of networking group? There are all kinds. If you deal with technology and technology people, then you might want a technological networking group. So each one of these, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. All right? So there's a millions different ways. Now for chambers, if you deal with business people, chambers are perfect because they have your target market. They're perfect for me because most chambers want more clients, and I'm all about using public speaking to get more clients. So they really work well for me. Whoa. Okay. So all right, so this is Adrienne, and Adrienne she was going to speak at the chamber, and she didn't want to be boring, as she said, and she came to me for some coaching, and, as a result, gave a wonderful speech, she said, right? And secured a client, great. But what she didn't say, which is so beautiful, is that she only had 5 minutes to speak. And she's an award-winning bathroom and kitchen designer. One of her designs, and this was in 2009, 2010, when the market was, right? Things were pretty tough. People were losing their houses. And she secured one client for $5,000 for one bathroom design. $5,000. 5 minutes, blah, 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 poof, $5,000. That's pretty good because she used my system. All right. So now number three. So number one was, all right, who could tell me what number one was? Number one was, okay, and Renee answered. Okay, good. Renee's target between 45 and 65. We were looking for a forever relationship and professionals. Okay, committed to each other. Awesome. Very good. Okay, so target market, okay, is number one. Thank you, Dave. Dave's one of my superstar students. Paul's a superstar student. Renee's a superstar student. Keep them coming, and you're all superstars for being on this call. Okay, Jules says, I'm not sure who my target market is. That must be my problem. It can be a problem because that's the beginning. It's like, well, I think the very beginning is your message. Maybe you need to back up just a little bit and find out who your message is and who wants to hear that message. So, Jewel, if you know who your message is, write it in here. Maybe I can work and help you out. If not, let's take it offline. Just give me some email. Let's have a conversation because that could be the beginning. You have to know your message. Now, how do you get to your message? You back up some more. What is your passion, right? Because if you're in a job that's not really your passion, it's really hard to speak about it. And then it's really hard to find the target. And then it's really hard to sell it. So we have to go all the way back to what is our passion and go from there step by step. All right, excellent. So again, Jewel, if you want to do something offline, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. All right. So where do we go when we want money? Where do we go when we want money? Who could put that in there? Write it in there. When you need some cash, some fast cash, where do you go? Write it in the chat box. All right, all of you, I know it takes a few minutes to get across to me, but I'll wait. All right, the bank? Yes, Jack, the bank. right? The bank ATM. That's right, Anita. That's right. The ATM machine. That's the picture that you see there. When you went fast cash, who wants to walk in? Probably we do the drive-through, right? And punch some numbers and get it in there. Excellent. Good job. All right, I'm gonna look to see who. Okay, I've got 16 participants here. Hi, Ivan. I haven't heard some of you participate. Charlotte. Okay, let Lionel participate. Lisa, come and participate. Cheryl, hi Cheryl. Sue Kabuki, another superstar student of mine in my $1 million speaker mastermind. So good job. So if you can, and Sue, you might be at work still or driving, and I get that. So, but if you can, please participate. All right. Okay, so I'm going to click out of that for a minute. All right, so yes, ATM. ATM is where we go. Now, the A is for ask. This is so important because so many people don't ask for speaking engagements. And if you don't ask, the answer is no. Think about it. If you don't ask, if you're afraid to ask, then the answer is already no. So why not ask? And here's how you ask. You pick up the phone, right? You pick up the phone or your cell phone, whatever it might be, and you get the list. Remember, you did the research, you wrote it all down, you made a list. Now, when you make that list of people and places that you want to speak to, make sure you're, creating a spreadsheet. Create a little spreadsheet, make that list, and then put it into a spreadsheet. And Renee reminded me of this earlier today when I was talking about this on our Passionately Speaking call, that she does a spreadsheet and makes comments, and you could do check marks when you called them. You could code it, like I put LM for left message, all this stuff. So make a little spreadsheet, make it easy for yourself. Doesn't have to be a spreadsheet on the computer. You could just do lined paper and just do it, whatever. But you have to keep track. Let me put it that way. You want to keep track. So here's what you do. So you call them up. You've already got the information. You did your research. You called them up. And let's say it is a women in leadership, and you're calling a corporation. If it's a large corporation, meaning millions of dollars, then they will probably have an HR person. Now, the beauty of the internet today is we can find out all kinds of things about a company by going on the internet. And although some companies will seem bigger than life because of the internet, all you have to do is go to our staff or about us. And if there's 2 people, you can pretty much guess that there's only 2 people, because companies that have people in them, they love to do group pictures. They love to put all of the staff and all the descriptions about them. So you'll know whether or not there's an HR, a human resource person, and that's who you want to go to get into the company to speak. And you always want to, when you call, you do this. So you find out who that person is. Let's say it's Mary Jones. When Mary Jones comes to the phone, you don't just say, you're a speaker looking for speaking engagements. No, but you ask, do you invite outside speakers to come to your to come to your company, to come, to one of your staff meetings, to come to one of your manager meetings? And it's either yes or no. Right? You're not trying to sell them on you right now. You're just, if it's yes, you're going to move forward. If it's no, you're going to turn and move the other direction. So if they say no, then game over. Say, well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And you hang up and go to the next call. If they say yes, however, then you don't say, oh, great, I'm a speaker, blah, blah, blah. No, you just tell them, I believe that I have a topic that will benefit your group. If it's a sales team, I have a topic that will increase your sales. I have a topic that will increase production. It's like, I believe I have a topic that could very well increase your production. Oh, really? What might that be? Then you could tell them the topic and what they will get. Remember, leaders in companies, they're interested in only one thing, and then that's their own hide, which means, making the company money, increasing production, decreasing staff turnover, all that kind of stuff. So really put on your corporate head if you're going to go into the corporate environment. So do that if you're going to go into any environment. If you're going to talk specifically to, let's say, coaches or authors, well, what are the challenges that authors are facing and what do they want? Is it writer's block, really? Is it the fear of speaking, really? Or is it something deeper? So dig deep and find out. So once you ask, and again, provide the benefits if they say yes. Now you could call 1 million people doing this one strategy. Keep track and always follow up later. Now the T is for tell. You also want to tell everyone that you're a speaker. Own that. Own that. So anytime you're at a networking meeting and you're standing up to introduce yourself, right along with your title, add that you are a speaker, or you could lead with it. I am a speaker looking for speaking engagements. If you know of anyone looking for speaking engagement, please let me know, right? Always add that, either to the beginning or the end, whatever you have time for, whatever you're comfortable with. But always tell everybody. If you're meeting somebody in the grocery store for the first time and they say, well, what do? I'm a speaker, right? You can lead with that. I'm a speaker looking for speaking engagement. Well, what do you speak on? Then you could say web design, because then you're a web designer. Then you could say real estate investing. You don't have to say, I'm a real estate investor. Oh, and by the way, I'm looking for speaking engagements. Flip it. Just flip it around and say, I'm a speaker looking for speaking engagement. They're going to ask you, well, what do you speak about? Oh, I speak about real estate. I speak about Medicare. Do you see the power in that? If you see the power, put in the chat box, I see the power, right? Put it in the chat box. I'm going to call it up again. Chat box. Where's my chat box? It's there somewhere. I just got to see it. All right, so go ahead and write in the chat box. I see the power. Good, Jack. True. Yes, I see the power. All right. Good. Okay, network marketers and small businesses is Paul's. And now, Paul, you can go down to what kind of network marketers, because not all network marketing is equal. Maybe you want to go right to the directors, right? You don't want to go to their downlines. Maybe you want to go right to the directors or the leaders of other teams. So you can even be a little more specific as well. And small businesses, what size? 1 million and up, 5 employees and up, 100 employees and up. I mean, so you can even drill down a little deeper. All right, so Lee says, I see the power. Right, okay, excellent. So tell everybody, anywhere and everywhere. And you're going to be doing a lot of Christmas parties. If you haven't already, Christmas is 1 week away. Can you believe it? Wow. Anyway, so if you go anywhere, any of these parties or networking, make sure you're telling people at those social events too, because you never know who you're going to be sitting next to. You never know who your cousin may know. And when you put it that way, your cousin might go, hey, I know of a podcast or a radio show. It's not just speaking on networking. Speaking counts. Anything from 5 minutes and up counts as a speaking engagement. Speaking engagement, 5 minutes or up or more. All right, and the M is for mail, the old-fashioned snail mail. You could do this 2 ways. You can do the ask and then follow up with an email or a mail, not an email, or you can mail something and then follow up with the ask. Either way or both. Now, what do you mail? I need to get a drink of water. Okay, so what do you mail? You tell me, all right? So people that have an idea, just tell me a little bit about what do you think you would put in this mailing? What do you think you'd put in this mailing? Okay, write it down. My speaker one sheet. Yes. Anita, that's perfect. My speaker one sheet. What else would you put in there? Cheryl, what would you put in there? Renee, what would you put in there? Yes, the fortune is in the follow-up. Yes, always. What would you put in there besides? Well, one sheet could do it all, but what would you put into it if it's in the mail, it's standalone? I think there's one thing that needs to go with that one sheet. What is it? To make it more powerful, to make it more personal, what would it be? What would it be? What would it be? Video of past speeches. It could be. But even a video with past speeches, a CD, that's excellent, or a link to YouTube. There's one other thing that you have to have on there. One other thing, one other piece of paper. Let me give you that hint. Another piece of paper that has to be in there. No, not your business card. When you put a business card in anything, a personal note, a letter, it has sales written all over it. All right, Renee, you've heard this today. Dave, you heard this today. What are you putting in there? What extra are you going to put in there? All right, a contract? Not yet. Not yet. An article about your business? You could, but that's not what I'm looking for. One page? No, what is that one page? Okay, I will tell you, it's a cover letter. You got to put in a cover letter. So if you are giving them your mail, you're sending your mail, right? And you haven't talked to them, you need to give them a cover letter and introduce yourself, right? And tell them that you're going to call them in a couple of days. If you've called them, if you did the ask, then you want to follow up with a cover letter and the one sheet. Say, I talked to you the other day, this is my one sheet. We would never send a one sheet without a cover letter, ever. It just isn't right, right? It just isn't right. It's like eating dinner without a napkin. We could do it, but it's just not right. Okay. All right. So this is Pete. Pete is my bookkeeper. And he went and spoke at the Chamber of Commerce, Upland Chamber of Commerce, which is totally his target market. It's full of small businesses and entrepreneurs. Now, he was real apprehensive because he didn't know how to speak, so he took my coaching program. And again, I'm only sharing what's possible. I'm not selling any coaching program today. If you want to talk to me about coaching program, we can do that offline, no worries. But I'm telling to describe the power of speaking. Right? Now, again, you can't go out and speak just to flap your jaw because you're not going to get the results. My clients, the reason why they're getting the results they're getting is because they're trained, right? Public speaking has to be respected like anything else you do, and you must get trained. Don't try to wing it, or you're going to wing it results, which means nothing, and you're going to think it doesn't work, and you're going to lose a ton of money and opportunity. So don't do it. Get trained. Whatever you do, get trained. All right, so P got the training. Then he went out and spoke at his Upland Chamber. We had about 80 people there that day. And he came back and he did my books, and he did the system and everything. And so I asked him, well, Pete, how many leads did you get? And he said 8, right? 8 tax leads and 3 leads for other stuff, bookkeeping and things like that. His speech was about taxes. And I said, well, Pete, how much is one tax client worth to you? And he said, about $1,000. And I said, but how much is one client worth to you for a lifetime? And he said, thousands and thousands of dollars. You see, Pete was just over my house yesterday, doing, catching me up for the year. And I said, Pete, how long have we been working together? He said, 10 years. 10 years. I said, well, probably more like 11, because I got you right when I moved here in this house, and I've been here 11 years. Now, he's been my bookkeeper 11 years out of the 16 I've been in business. I mean, I've paid him over the years a lot of money. So think of the life of your clients. Not just one transaction, all right? So he closed over 10% of the room. He closed about 15% of the room, right, that day, and not counting any residual, clients that he got later on. So here's some more places to speak, webinars like we're doing now, video conferences, radio, TV. There's so many places There's no excuse not to go out there and speak. And of course, social media platforms, all the live stuff that is happening out there, the Periscope and the Meerkat and the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live and this live and that live and everybody's live, right? But you have to be visible to sell. So get out there and speak. You can also create your own venues. And that's what one of my clients did, Donovan. Donovan came to my training. He didn't want to wait to get speaking engagements. He didn't want to, frankly, pick up the phone and ask or do the mailings. Right here, he's 19 years old. He's one of my youngest clients. And so I taught him the strategy and how to speak, and he went out there and spoke. Now, he's an escrow officer and with Palomero Escrow. So he went out to speak, and then he calls me up 2 months later, 2 months to the day of the speaker training. Now, he already had this car, right? But he told me, and he already had a house, but he bought a boat. And I don't know, and of course, a truck to pull that boat with the extra money he made. Now, I have no interest in a boat myself, but there is something about a boat when people say what? That you what? Put it in the chat box, that you have blank, right? Put it in the chat box. You have what? All right? Right, cover letter, right? Okay, success. You have, it's another word I'm looking for, and it starts with an A. You have blank. You have what? If you have a boat, you have arrived. Yes, Cheryl, perfect. Arrived, true, yes. Yes, I don't know why it's a saying that you have arrived, but they say that you have arrived. Yes, Charlotte, very, very good. Very good. And so he got a boat and he's arrived. He's, you know, he made it, I guess, like success and everything else, but he made it. So here's Donovan today, and now he's vice president. He's in his 30s, right? Now, what he did, I got to back up for a minute because he created his own event, but his own event, what was it? You're probably asking. Well, it is what's known in the real estate industry as a caravan. So he created his own caravan and invited real estate professionals, title professionals, financial people, anybody that served that community. He would have 150 people there every single Wednesday. And guess who he was? The leader of the group. So even though there might be some other escrow people that came in, he's already positioned as the expert and in escrow and real estate and bringing everything together. So that's how his company flourished. That's how he got the boat. That's how he's stayed in business and rode the wave of 2007, 2008, 9, 10, right? Because he got the training before that, got the boat before that, did the class before that, and then sustained it throughout the weak or the low period, the winter, if you will, of his business. That's what I say. I mean, when you're speaking, even in 2007 and 8, I mean, 2007, I bought this house, right? At the highest peak it possibly could be. But speaking helped me ride the wave. People were losing their homes and people were, you know, all kinds of bad things. And I don't know if it's happened to you. I'm sorry if it did. But one thing I know about speaking, if you take it on and speak once a week and build your business with speaking, it's like you're on a surfboard riding the wave instead of being under the water like so many people were during that time. So will we have a recession again? You betcha. I don't know when, maybe some of you do, but it'll always come, right? The pendulum swings, right? And it always will. And if you've been around a little bit, you see that. But what you want to do, the key is to ride the wave. Woo, woo, right? And not let it pull you under. Speaking is your surfboard. So not only is it your car, it's your surfboard or your boogie board. All right, so there is Donovan. Okay, so another place that I want to share with you is other people's stages. Once you do your speeches to your target market, which works, you could do that all day long, every single day. But eventually, you want to get on bigger stages and bigger stages and bigger stages, right? You want to create your own stage too. But I see create your own stage after you've been on some other people's stages, because then you kind of know a little bit more about how to create an event, because events can be costly. I've lost my shirt on some, and I've made a ton of money on others. And a good way, you know, not a bad way, a good way. And you all should make money for your services and your training and your coaching and everything that you do, because you're brilliant at what you do, and people need you. And you're going to save their business, their life, or their soul. So they should pay for it, because if they don't, they won't value it. We know that, but it's true. I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't. I've sponsored a few people in some of my training, and then they don't use it, they don't take it, they don't show up. So I don't do it anymore. And you shouldn't either. All right, so other people's stages. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But before I do, let me go back to my little chat and see what's going on with my chat. For some reason, my chat keeps disappearing tonight. So I'm going to find out why. All right, anything else you want to say before we go into the final segment of today? And that's getting on other people's stages. Anything anybody wants to say? Okay. All right, cool. All right, okay, because when I click out, for some reason, I lose you. All right, so other people's stages. How to get on other people's stages without being obnoxious. There's nothing worse that is people, when you have a stage and people coming up to you that you don't even know and asking you to be on their stage. Do you know how expensive it costs to put on an event? Well, let me just give you an example, because they're not cheap. But my $1 Million Speaker Summit, which is a 3-day in Irvine, and if you've been to it, like Dave Christador has been to it, Renee's been to it, some of you out, Paul's been to it, and Paul's going to sponsor the next one in August. But if you've been to it, you see I really take care of you, and there's food at the breaks, and there's a networking event. In the first day, I have a red carpet, you know, jazz player, all this stuff. It's expensive. So that event, I'm telling you, cost me $30,000, $30,000 just to put on that 3-day event. So you have to make some sales just to pay for the event. So don't go in this haphazardly and lose your shirt. And, you know, I've done that before myself. So you want to start out small, right? If you're going to put on an event, start out with a 3-hour event and work your way up, a day event, and then a 2-day event, and work your way up. But one of the best things you could do before any of that stuff is get on other people's stages and see how the interaction works, see what they do to engage their audience, see how the back of the room works. That will help you to make money at your own event. However, like I said, don't come up to people. Don't you ever come up to me and ask me to be on my stage, because it's a turnoff. You know, it's like, I'm going to say this, but it's like asking me for sex, right? You know, it's like, I don't even know you. You know, can't we have dinner first? You know, something like that. So don't do it. It's not nice. It's very unethical in the speaking world, right? But let me share with you what you can do to get on somebody's stages. All right, so it's what I call stage grace. You need to have stage grace. I think I'll call it stage etiquette next time. But you can become an affiliate of them. Now, when you become an affiliate, that means that you're going to email to your list and get people to attend. I'm telling you, a host, or even myself, you got 10 people to my event, I will give you some time on stage. I can't give you 90 minutes, obviously, but I could give you 5, I could give you 10, or whatever, a minute a person. Got it? Not guaranteeing I'm going to do that, but I'm saying that's something that we could talk about and negotiate. And you make money. Most affiliates get anywhere from 10% to 50% of the door, right, of the door. And again, the promoter will love you and invite you on stage. Maybe not that time, but maybe in the following. Maybe the following event or a smaller event. I often have people in my 1-day event on stage. I'll have one person at the end of that event. Okay, become a sponsor. That's another way. When you become a sponsor, it's kind of like a pay to play. Then you can get on people's stages, at least for 30 seconds to a minute to introduce yourself, right? And you get exposure, you get everybody coming to your booth, and you could talk to them individually at your booth. Usually you get a table of some kind, so it's a great way to stand out from the crowd. Another way is to become a volunteer. Maybe you don't have a list that you can send, and maybe you don't have the funds to become a sponsor. So become a volunteer. Become a volunteer. You could come, usually attend the event for free, and just be the best volunteer you possibly can. And you can learn a lot about the event and a lot about the back room doing that. Now, Renee was telling me earlier that she did Les Brown's event. How cool would that be to be a volunteer at Les Brown's event? She did Mark Victor Hansen. She's done a lot of them, right? So volunteer, and I'm saying this because I have an event coming up. Maybe you want to learn the ropes by coming and being a volunteer. Last year, I had some great volunteers. I'm telling you, there were some very special people, and I had one volunteer that got sick the first day and left, and a participant that happened to be an attorney stepped up and volunteered in his place. And I was just so grateful, still grateful to this day. And I invited him to come up on stage and tell us a little bit about himself as I thanked him for graciously stepping in an emergency situation. So become a volunteer. Again, my event is August 22nd through the 24th. If you're interested in volunteering, just email me, let me know. Okay, or call me, whatever. Now, one of the sure ways to get on my stage anyway is become a student. All my mastermind students get to be on my stage. And Dave on the call is in the current mastermind. Sue is in the current mastermind. So they will either get anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes and more, depending on how many people they bring, paid people that they bring. So there's ways that you can also negotiate for that time. Always negotiate for speaker time. But every time you get, always ask for a little more, because the answer is no unless you ask. All right, so become a student. And become an attendee. There's nothing worse than someone coming up to me and saying, oh, I'd like to be on your stage at $1 Million. And I'm like, well, have you ever came? Have you ever attended? They're like, no. Or they want to be my MC. It's like, you got to attend. You got to pay. You got to pay your dues. Now we can talk about other things, right? It's like crazy. So be sure that you are using stage etiquette. And now I'm not saying that you can't ask somebody to be on their stage, especially if it's a smaller stage, but maybe you can ask it a different way. Like, what do I need to do to get a moment on your stage? So you're saying it. They will tell you, well, be a volunteer or help me out or become an affiliate. They'll tell you. So instead of just approaching somebody saying, can I be on your stage? Approach them and say, what will it take? What do I have to do to earn the right to be on your stage for a few minutes? And I'm telling you, they will tell you, and they will be grateful and grateful that you asked. All right? So that's stage grace. Okay, so let me go. We're going to end now, and we have 1 more minute. All right, so we stick around for anybody that wants to come in and talk. We're going to open it up, but that's the end of our series. They will be, sorry, this is my last slide. I apologize, I didn't clean it up. But this is the last of the series. Look for this next year for more webinars like this. I am launching a pilot program of my online program. I have been kicking and screaming about putting on an online program. My mentor said, you need an online program. I'm like, how can you teach public speaking online? And even though I'm doing it, I had more of a mindset that you couldn't do it. So in the meantime, my colleagues have been doing it. So a lot of people now just want to learn at their own pace. They want to have the project and then write it out and then hand it in to you and that kind of thing. So I'm going to do a pilot program, which is going to be a fraction of the cost of what it is normally. So why is it a pilot? Because I'm going to ask for your feedback. So you're in the program, then I'm going to ask for your feedback. My mastermind people like Sue and Dave are already grandfathered in, but we're going to have discussions about how to make it better. So that's why it's pilot. That's why it's going to be cheaper. If you're interested at all, look to the email. It'll come out in January, and or email me now, and I'll make sure you get on that list. Okay, nothing to buy now. It's not even ready. I haven't even done one video yet. I'm going to be working diligently on that tomorrow. All right, so Jewel, you're welcome for the 3 weeks. If you want to come in and let everybody see you and ask me questions, just write it right now in the chat box, and I will bring you in. Okay, otherwise you could go for today, and I just want to say thank you. Have a blessed Christmas, and I'll see you in the new year, right? Okay, all right. Well, nobody wants to come in or ask me any questions, so I must have done a great job. All right, okay, all right. Goodbye, everybody. Happy Christmas and Merry New Year. All right, and a prosperous New Year. Remember, I'm here for you anytime you want to talk about public speaking or anything else. Just give me a call, reach out to me, and I can always figure out how best to help you. Okay, so I love you all. Mwah! Goodbye, everyone.